Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today. It is Monday morning. It's a late morning. It's November 15th, 2021. The man they call Meathead and Matthew Thomas. Aloha. Thank you for joining us so early on a Monday morning.
Yes. Well, hey, you do what you can as a broadcast journalist, even if that means you go where the action is when there's action. That's always my motto.
Well, action be there, action be damned, and time frames be damned. Here we are. We are going to talk all AEW. We're going to talk Full Gear. Matthew, you said you got in the pay-per-view. You got in all 4 hours.
Eventually, yeah. The Bleacher Report was not quite reporting for me, unfortunately, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this issue. If you didn't catch it live, you were kind of out of luck for the next about the next 30 hours or so. As of 12 hours from the pay-per-view going off, there was really nothing posted as far as a replay. When they did, it was not your automatic on-demand replay. It was just a quintessentially a quote-unquote live replay, as it just started from the beginning and ran straight through. So it was about the 30-hour mark removed from the pay-per-view, where you could actually, had the ability to start from the beginning, pause, rewind, fast forward, all of that stuff. So it made the watching experience a little interesting.
Gotcha. Hey, who sponsored your trip to Hawaii?
Oh, that's a collar and elbow brand. They sponsored me by outfitting me with wonderful clothing to wear on my trip here in Hawaii. And whether you're in Hawaii
And the program, of course.
Or in the program as well, and or whether you're in Antarctica or wherever, it's going to keep you warm. Hey, it's going to keep you warm while looking cool. You like that, didn't you? Huh?
Whoa.
Yeah. But wait a minute. What if you don't want to be warm? Like in Hawaii, you want to be like cool. Well, then it'll keep you cool while looking cool as well too. So it does both. And if you want to save money on your ability to look cool, whether you're staying warm or staying cool or staying medium, collarandelbowbrand.com, promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY, saves 10%. And, I hear earns you some PWR fantasy draft points as well.
Yep. Hey, let's talk first about the pay-per-view before we get into the draft points. A new record was scored from Linda, and we will get to that right at the end of the pay-per-view here. Matthew, let's talk about the pay-per-view proper, and then we will go into a little bit of some notes that happened afterwards. I love the media scrum stuff that they do after the pay-per-views. Oh my God, that is amazing, because they treat it like a legitimate sport, and they have the media come in and do questions and answers after.
No, great idea. I don't know, outside of it was the WrestleMania. It was Shawn Michaels' last WrestleMania. I guess it was 13, his last WrestleMania before the break. You've heard the story of him busting up in there in the press conference. That's the only one in recent memory. That I recall WWF at the time ever doing. I'm sure there's been others, but definitely something that sets AEW apart.
Okay, so the pay-per-view had the buy-in, which was Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa taking on Jamie Hayter and the Native Beast Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero. Big Eddie chance, and I didn't put it together right away throughout the show. Yeah. It was exactly 16 years to the day and the city, and probably right down the street, that Eddie Guerrero passed away. Did you know that?
Oh, I put two and two together and realized it was probably the date because November sounded right. Did not realize it was the city.
Not only the date, not only the city. I mean, that being the entertainment district, he was probably in one of the hotels down. I mean, wow. That got eerie for me in a flash. I was like, what's with all the three amigos? Yeah. Oh, and then Jericho. I mean, when we saw Jericho's face, I mean, because remember, Eddie and Jericho were close. Yeah. I mean, real close. Think about the WCW crew. It was Jericho, it was Eddie, it was Benoit, it was Malenko, and then they brought Saturn in over on that group as well. So.
Yeah, no, that's it was definitely a lot throughout the show. So that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Before the buy-in was over, there was I spaced there for a second. Before there was a buy-in, there was Dante from Top Flight coming in from Minneapolis. Dante Martin comes to the ring, and instead of being approached by Team Taz, he was approached by the Acclaim. Yo, you should come join us. Eat a macaroni and cheese. I don't know where that was going, but
I mean, with an offer like that, man, I would have to put strong consideration into joining any type of team or stable that offered me macaroni and cheese.
The beginning of his raps are like, yo, listen. It's the same rap every day. They wanted him to join, and they were pretty pushy about it. What they did was they basically said, if you don't answer now, we're going to beat you up. And you know what? Wasn't having it. Dante Martin over huge while his brother's out on injury in Minneapolis. The proper pay-per-view started with MJF and Darby Allin. I loved the chain link wrestling and the catch-can style that started off, because they had said, you know what? We're going to wrestle. I'm going to out-wrestle you. And boy, did we get wrestling.
This was the best MJF match I've ever seen. This was a burner to start the show. And, again, MJF, Darby especially, you don't necessarily associate it with great chain link wrestling. My goodness, we got it here. Close to, I believe, 30-minute opener. Once you counted the entrances, probably the actual official match time, clocked in around 25.
The rolling around that the ref had to catch up to.
Oh, that was great.
I laughed out. I mean, legit, LOL. Dude, I'm like, you can't.
And let me mention this too. I think the finish that you're going to get to here in a second made a ton of sense, because MJF, he was selling his knee. He was wrestling great. It was he needed something at the very end to remind everybody that you're actually watching a heel, because the crowd was kind of getting behind MJF coming out of this injury and coming from behind. So
MJF, when he wants to be a face, it's there.
Yeah,
it's waiting.
100%.
But the finish was the Dynamite Diamond ring. MJF pinned Darby with a side headlock. And he promised he would pin him with a side headlock.
And he's never going to shut up about it from here on out, which is great, because that's going to give MJF something else to talk about.
All right. World Tag Team title match, the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix against AAA Tag Team Champions FTR, Wheeler and Dax Harwood with Tully Blanchard. Again, a burner, 25 minutes. The first hour only had 3 matches in it, and they were about 20 minutes of, wow.
And
winners and still champions.
Honestly, Meathead, the best 3 matches I've ever seen to start a pay-per-view that I can recall. The pacing here was interesting, because normally you do not start 2 matches of this length, 2 matches of people with this technical prowess back to back to back. They took a gamble, and my goodness, I think it paid off. The crowd seemed to stay with it the entire time. They were, stylistically 3 different matches.
Well, there was a spot in the pay-per-view that they got to rest in. We're going to get to it in a second.
Yeah, but no, great overall tag team match. And then, FTR has got, they've got a claim coming out of this match with the way that it ended.
Well, and it ended with them trying to do the old illegal man, somebody's fresh, somebody's not, with the masks, but the ref fought on. Lucha Brothers finish off Cash with the stuffed pile driver and pin him. Still the champs, Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, and so thankfully here, I guess the man they call Meathead didn't suffer a title loss, right?
He did not. No, that is a title defense. All right. The final of the Eliminator tournament, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and God's Forsaken champion, Miro. Oof, again, wow. You talk about the first 3 matches. Bryan Danielson got to the bigger man, and he wins the match.
Yeah, another great match to conclude the first hour there. And, just got to mention, man, Daniel Bryan, the last handful of years, in WWE has been wrestling a little bit of a protected schedule by design. I mean, the guy with the history of injuries, wanting to err on the side of caution, the amount of physical matches that this guy has had on a weekly basis since starting his AEW run, it's up there, man.
His AEW stuff is just very. I asked Linda, does Bryan Danielson need to be wrestling so much?
Yeah, and I personally would like to see the frequency cut down a little bit, just for the sake of still making it special, and also for the guy's physical health, man. I mean, he is wrestling a physical style in AEW, and you trust that he's not going to do anything more than he can handle. But my goodness, I mean, not a week goes by where we're not seeing him wrestle on Dynamite or Rampage, and they're not quick, easy, light matches, man. They're physical. And then he turns that physicality on even more when you get to a pay-per-view like we had on Saturday. My goodness.
Yep. Falls Count Anywhere match. Christian Cage and Jurassic Express taking on the Super Click of Cole, Matt, and Nick Jackson. Dude, their hair and their mustaches purple. Purple.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. I think this was a good placement for this match, because I mean, you had 3 really in-ring physical matches to start off your show, and this was another high-profile match, but the visual here was a lot different because you're moving in and around, so I think it really worked here to still give you something fun and exciting, but to break up that visual a little bit.
I don't need thumbtacks in the mouth.
No. So here's the thing with that. I would certainly hope they're worked. And then at that point, it's like, all right.
Well, they didn't zoom in on the thumbtacks, did they? Maybe they were just plastic. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like, but still, if they're worked, man, you got to think it's a choking hazard, and so.
What if you pass them? What if you have to pass them through the old poop chute there?
The worst case scenario is they're not worked, and then that's just not good for anybody, man. So yeah, it's one of those spots that, to me, it really doesn't accomplish anything, and I have a hard time suspending disbelief on that, because if somebody gets a bunch of thumbtacks loaded in their mouth and they get kicked from both sides of it, like that's much more damage than you're suspending your disbelief to want to see in a wrestling match,
We don't need that. Don't need it. Here's the rest match. The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes and the Bastard Pack against Andre Idolo and Malachi Black. What the hell was going on with this match?
I guess they're just trying to tell a story that they're nobody wants to work together and everybody's kind of out doing their own thing. But
it was discombobulated.
You fell off. You fell off a bit here, from your first 4.
Wow. And who would have thought that Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes, to start with, are in the popcorn match?
Yeah.
In the bathroom break.
I mean, here's my thoughts on it, Meathead, is I think at this point, more or less, I mean, it was a way to get everybody on the pay-per-view, but it was a way to get Cody out there to potentially get him booed. I mean, I think they know exactly what they're doing with Cody, and they know what kind of polarizing figure they have now. And so this just served as a way to get him out there and potentially get that John Cena 2006-ish crowd reaction.
Yeah. The winners of the match, Pac spiked Andre El Idolo with the Poison Rana, finished him off with Black Arrow. It was Cody and Pac. After the bell, Cash Wheeler came out to kick Pac's head. Again, there's apparently somebody's buying somebody and they're renting. It's convoluted, to be completely.
Hey, you know what? Have you ever considered renting a tag team?
I have considered renting a tag team. Because tag team is back again. Sprinkles!
Yes. You know what? I wonder if, when you rent FTR, Meathead, I wonder if they show up in their truck.
I hope so. Maybe Trent's mom will be there too to make a lasagna.
Well, that way, if you need to rent them for some yard work or something, you need them to haul some mulch. I mean, they've got the bed of the truck.
There you go. All right. Women's Championship match. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Ty Conte. Ty had a good look. And she looked good as a competitor. They really sold us over the last week or so her Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Right.
She's not a pretty face. She's also a competitor, right? But it wasn't going to stop the DMD from retaining the belt.
No, it was a repackage to kind of get her away from that, Anna Jay's friend, which was kind of her look prior. So kind of coming into her own here visually. And it seemed like a pretty much a foregone conclusion. They've done a good job of building her up in the last several weeks, but they've been building her up kind of after she had that title shot. It wasn't somebody necessarily outside of the box that you thought might be able to take it off of Britt Baker. So, a little bit too late there to, kind of really have you wonder if she was a viable contender in this match. But, I think some positive things for her going forward.
The match we were all looking forward to, CM Punk and the Mad King, Eddie Kingston. Kingston had his fist taped up and smashed Punk with a spinning back fist before the match even began. This wasn't a match. It was a fight. And again, he hoped to beat him enough that he would retire for 7 years. And again, right before the pay-per-view aired, I read Eddie Kingston in the Players Tribune.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they did a great job there. And I think they've got something really, really special with Eddie Kingston they need to capitalize on. This was not technically the way that I would have had this gone. I mean, I don't think it hurts Eddie Kingston at all. I think Eddie Kingston is as in good a shape in AEW as he's been. But I was really hoping for an Eddie Kingston victory here. But you're right. This was a solid fight. This was another great match to the tune of the first 3 matches we saw, but a radically different match in the fact that this was a fight from the from the go. And I think our second match of the evening where we had a little bit of color too.
Adam Cole. He was wearing the mask.
Yeah. Adam Cole bleeding.
Speaking of Punk, he said in the post presser that he was feeling like he was The Rock at WrestleMania. He heard the crowd, and the crowd was not cheering for him.
Yeah, no, and and I don't think it's necessarily it's Punk doing everything right. It's not the crowd not there for him. They've got somebody else in Kingston now that they are basically learning to adore for a lot of reasons. And I mean, I think that's the mark of Punk doing exactly what he is supposed to do.
His job.
Having that mixed reaction and making a new star. And I think a lot of people would be very surprised that, as close as we are to Punk's debut in August, that you would have anybody that would go up against Punk, and not in an organic way. I mean, they're not trying to turn Punk or anything. I mean, what he said to Kingston in those promos was a bit harsh at times, but it fit the context of that storyline. I don't think you really would have imagined that anybody would even be mixed in a Punk match at this point. But my goodness, that's where we were at on Saturday.
This match confused me a little bit. It was the Minneapolis Street Fight, the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz against the Men of the Year, All Ego, Ethan Page, Scorpion Sky, and American Top Team, Dan Lambert, Andre Orlovsky, and Junior De Los Santos. It started off as a tag match where they had to tag in and out, and then they were all over the place. Yeah. So how the hell did they keep track of who was the legal man on each side?
I have no idea. Very, very confused here. And I thought prior to this, on the episode where they announced Dan Lambert, they were basically like choosing 3 people.
Well, it was going to be the Men of the Year, and they had to choose 3 of Top Team.
Oh, okay. That's where I got
the. They just got to choose the top team members.
I got you. That's where I got the 3 from. But yeah, there was a lot going on here.
But what I'm saying is it got confusing. But they brought out everything in the match. Schiavone very astutely pointed out that everything in the match had a Minneapolis connection. He hit him with a Prince sign. He hit him with a bundt cake pan, hockey sticks, the water skis, which were invented in Minneapolis, apparently.
Well, and I'm assuming everything that they hit him with, they purchased from the Mall of America, right?
I would assume so. The winners of the match, obviously, the Inner Circle, but Jericho's frog splash at the end, that one hit you right in the feels.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was very fitting.
At the end of the match, Matthew, being that I'm from Milwaukee and Minneapolis is the home of the AWA, and Milwaukee was one of their hot cities that they would always travel to, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Chicago, that area. Having Baron von Raschke ringside, did you get to watch him as a kid? Do you know who he is before this?
Yeah, no, I know of him. That was a little bit before my time, so I didn't cut my teeth on Baron per se, but
I know people need to know.
I know of him and his legend.
That was awesome. I mean, because he slapped the claw right on him, and that was the end of that. Okay, the big surprise for the pay-per-view that we didn't know we were getting. Tony Schiavone on the stage for a very special announcement. A 20-year veteran and multi-time champion is going to become All Elite. It's Jay Lethal, Matthew Thomas, Black Machismo, the man with the best Ric Flair impression in the business, is now All Elite.
You know what? This was a surprise. I'm thinking of new acquisitions. You're thinking of all the WWE releases, and even with the ROH announcement from several weeks ago, this just did not enter my brain. I think this is a huge pickup. I mean, this guy really top of the card in Ring of Honor for the last decade.
He's been with ROH for about 10 years.
Yeah, and I think myself included, a lot of that has been unseen. So Jay Lethal has really come into his own as a main eventer, and I think it's really been outside of the scope of view for a lot of your wrestling fans that haven't been keeping up with the Ring of Honor product. I think that this is a really, really big pickup for AEW.
For Jay Lethal at the presser the day after the show, he said, "Look, I found the forbidden door. I stepped through it. I'm All Elite. I'm not going to be at the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view. However, I felt I had to go because I had to cast while the iron's hot. Everybody from Ring of Honor has been released. WWE had these ton of releases. I figured now's the time to go."
100%. And I mean, the announcement, Jay Lethal and Sammy for the TNT title on Wednesday, correct?
Oh yeah, the Dynamite's just off the charts now.
Yeah, man, I'm interested to see how that plays out, because I know Sammy hasn't had a long title reign, but Jay Lethal, man, I think you got to bring him in hot.
We'll see. All right, the main event. The men's world championship, the cleaner, Kenny Omega, taking on Hangman Adam Page. I loved the video package.
How great was that, huh? The horse with
did they call
the video
on him like they did for Darby and Sting?
Well, they probably would have had to call the police on whoever shut the street down. I think that gives the most attention. Maybe they did a deal like in Ghostbusters 2. You remember that, where they shut the sewers down to work on the sewers? I'm sure that's probably what they did there.
Okay. The match we had been waiting for. Last Friday on Rampage, there was a backstage segment of the Bucks, and Adam Page walked up and says, "You know what? I'm sorry. I was a bad friend. I'll tell you what, though. This Sunday, if you mess up my match, if you find a way to ruin my match for you, I will go scorch earth on your ass." At the end of this match, the Bucks out there, a wink, Hangman with his move, the new champion. Go.
Outstanding match due to an outstanding 2-year build on this. They don't do slow burns like this anymore. They don't take, and by they, I mean just the professional wrestling industry at large. Right. When was the last time? The Adam Page arc has just been so well done. You put him on the radar in your first major pay-per-view. His parents in attendance at ringside, still an unknown name to a lot of people. And where he was at with me, at the kickoff of AEW, basically, it's like, this guy's got talent, but I don't think that's first champion. That's what you need to do right there, just because there's still so much, unknown there. And I didn't quite see the spark in the character at the time. Fast forward to 2 years, and people are foaming at the mouth for this guy to have his title run. They booked it so smart. And look at this compared to, and I hate to keep going to WWE comparisons. I'm sure there's other companies that have done it as well too, but the WWE push to make a new star a lot of times is to hand that baton and jam that baton down the throat of the audience and say, this is who you're going to like. This is going to be your top baby face. You look at it in WWE in the last decade, 15 years, Cena, Roman Reigns, your two guys that you consistently try to tell the audience, this is who you're going to like. This is who you're going to cheer for. That's been the approach. AEW, 2-3 years in existence, basically, has pulled off one of the most organic over babyface creations that I've ever seen. And Saturday night was the culmination of it. And they did it in grand fashion.
Highlights from the press conference the day after. Butcher was supposed to have Wednesday off. That's not something that we think about in the wrestling business. Hey, I need next week Tuesday off. I got a whatever. It's not something you normally think about. You think the guys are always there every day, right?
He's probably got to work his shop and chop some meat, man.
That's right. But he'll be on Dynamite. He's going to be wrestling Ishii. Tony Khan also said that Lance Archer was in the building and he has a neck injury, not a hand injury, and has passed his concussion protocol. Going back to the first match, the Jericho Hangman Adam Page match for the title, he goes, Chris Jericho was always planned to be the first champion, and he had his first 4 champions all set out and planned out. So look at that. His first 4 champions. Who were his first 4 champions? Jericho, Moxley, Hangman, Page. He had that mapped out for 2 years. Hot damn.
That's some pretty well thought out booking there.
Speaking of Bryan Danielson as well, he said he saw the best doctors to come back, and he says his health is constantly improving from where he was. His priority is to be a father and to be coherent. And there is no announcement yet on when it's going to be Danielson Hangman, but he wants the biggest matches possible, regardless of face heel, which I think AEW has shown us consistently over and over. They don't care about your traditional face heel booking. They will give you the biggest matches they can.
No, and I mean, I think you're coming up on, one of the biggest match, if not the biggest match of Hangman's career. I mean, the inaugural AEW, or one of the inaugural AEW pay-per-views, I guess, with Chris Jericho's got to rank up there. But I mean, I think at this stage, this will potentially be the match that further puts Hangman on the map. I mean, I think this is where Bryan Danielson's first loss has to come. It's got to happen at some point, and you want to see it mean something. And I think that this is hopefully going to be, where that goes. Although Team Nelson Mandela would not mind a title win, I think the smart thing is to have, Bryan Danielson as another milestone in Hangman's career.
Absolutely. Let's speak about PWR Draft 2021-2022 season. A new record has been set once again by our lovely.
Thank you. Oh, a lovely Matthew Thomas.
No, you're not lovely. By the way, I've seen a commercial. Matthew, do you watch any Comedy Central?
Very sparingly.
Okay, well, I mean, you're missing out here. But I'm not a big fan of Trevor Noah in The Late Show or The Daily Show. But his commercial, he goes, look, anybody can make a damn cryptocurrency. All you need is, a computer, internet access, and time to annoy your friends. It made me think of Thomas Tender.
Yeah. Well, where you're at is Thomas Tender's not. It's a non-cryptocurrency. It's a real life currency. So it's a paper. Right. It's a physical currency.
Well, let's talk about the lovely Linda Kay and her new point record of 700 points in one event.
Oh my goodness!
700 points. Holy shit!
That's pretty crazy right there.
I also scored 590. Matthew, you scored 190.
Better than an AEW shutout like Nelson Mandela has gotten accustomed to.
Right, exactly. Some of the big point winners, the man they call Meathead with a title win, 210 points strictly from just Adam Page winning. But look at Linda. She even lost the title and scored that many points. She lost the title with Kenny Omega at 10 points. She got, I had a title defense for Lucha Brothers. She got a Sammy Guevara specialty win at 130. She got, the Young Bucks had lost. She got, holy smokes, she got a Britt Baker title defense. So the new totals brought to you by the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. The man they call Meathead still leading at 2,580. Very, very close. 2,450 Linda Kay. And in third place, 2,090 Matthew Thomas. Here's the thing that I don't think our listeners or you or Linda have taken into consideration. That's cute and all that you guys made these moves over the weekend to pick up AEW talent. You lost 25 to pick them up. You're going to lose another 25 to drop them because our rosters will lock, folks. They will lock the day after Royal Rumble. You're going to want as many WWE talents as possible. So is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not. But the man they call Meathead on his way to winning his second back-to-back PWR championship.
Unless you're like me and you're banking on that Forbidden Door being really, really forbidden, and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole actually going back over to WWE, being co-Royal Rumble
You didn't believe it
winners.
yourself. You're gagging over it.
Going back for the March AEW pay-per-view, and then also going back to headline WrestleMania.
Fair enough. All right. Well, here we are. Folks, a little programming note. There will be no Tuesday morning PWR Today with the late edition of this program. We are going to be skipping over the Tuesday morning. On Wednesday morning, we'll talk everything Raw, everything NXT, and get you ready for Dynamite in the hometown of Hangman Adam Page. No more celebrations in the library. Hangman Adam Page is going to do it in the arena.
You know what? I need to check that local newspaper and see if maybe they did have something at the library on Saturday night. That would only be fitting.
Got to have Grandma there.
Yeah,
she was very proud. Cool. Well, for Matthew Thomas, the man they call Meathead, hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you Wednesday morning. So long, everyone.